12 episodes, 12 tiny concepts, each on its own. Today, one program using every single one of them, and it actually runs on a board. Let's walk through it and along the way count how many of the last 12 episodes show up. Episode 1 include right here. Episode 10, a macro defining how long to wait before counting another button presses. Episode 8, enums, 3 named states, slow, medium, and fast. Episode 9, typedefs, on both of them, clear short names instead of writing enum and struct everywhere. Episode 6, a struct, bundling the current state together with how fast it should blink. Episode 7, pointers. This function reaches into the real blinker and updates it directly, not a copy. Episode 11, static. Every one of these helper functions is private to this file, and static again differently. These two variables remember their values between calls. That's exactly the counter idea from that episode, just doing the real work this time, keeping track of whether the button was already down last time we checked. Episode 3, fixed width types, all the way through uint 16, uint 8, uint 32, and so on. Episode 4, a function that returns a real value, one we actually use right in the if statement in the main. Episode 5, while and if else, right where you'd expect them. And episode 11, volatile, except this time I didn't write the volatile variable myself. The hal underscore get tick reads a tick counter that's been running in the background, updated by a timer interrupt since the very first episode of this series. Every hal underscore delay you've seen has depended on it. It was declared volatile inside the hal library the whole time, for exactly the reason episode 12 explained it. It's the real thing finally pointed at. One more thing, and I'll be honest, this part's new. Setting up a pin to read a button instead of just wiring to an LED is a topic on its own. We are using it here without fully unpacking it. Think of it as a preview of what comes next if this series continues. A quick and honest detour, because this is a real thing that happens with buttons like this. When I first wired this up, pressing the button did nothing at all. Two things were actually wrong, and both are worth knowing about if you ever build something like this yourself. First, this pin PA3 right here only makes sense relative to the chip's ground right here. If I forget to actually wire the STM's ground pin into the same rail the button connects to, which is right here, the pin's just floating. It never sees a real press no matter how hard you smash the button. Second, this one's sneaky. These little 4 legs on the button aren't 4 separate connections. 2 of the legs are wired together permanently inside the switch, whether you are pressing it or not. Same for the other 2. Pressing the button just bridges those 2, and in this case it would be these 2 on the side. If you happen to wire both your wires into the same permanently connected pair, the button will never do anything, because as far as the circuit is concerned, it's either always open or always closed. The fix is simple. Test it with a multimeter first. No beep when it's not pressed. Beep exactly when you press it. That's the pair you want. Fixed both of those, and it's been working ever since. Worth remembering for the next time. A button project mysteriously does nothing, and you know what to do now. Let's flash it. Success. Slow blink, boot state. Press once, medium, press again, fast, and a third press wraps it back around to slow, right where we started. Every concept from this series in one program, actually doing something. That's tier 1. The full concept by concept map is in the episode's README, link in the description. If you want me to trace exactly where each idea from the last 12 episodes shows up in this file. Thanks for following along all 13 episodes. If there's a next year, GPIO input, interrupts, timers, and more real hard peripherals are exactly where I'll pick it up.